So hi everyone, welcome to our today's webinar. Thank you for joining. We still have few people joining, but it's 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, wherever you are. So let's get this webinar started because we have just 1 hour dedicated. So let's make the most of it. So my name is Anna Ogunusi. I work in Easy Software. I have worked in Easy Software for over 7 years and have been working with companies from manufacturing, such as More Electronic, Oxford Instruments, and simply helping them with changing their tools, their softwares that they were using and currently using for project and task management, and helping them with what these days we actually call digitalization. So that's the reason why I'm here today. But I'm not here alone, as you can see. Today I'm joined by Barbara. So Barbara has over 12 years of experience in manufacturing, especially in process engineering. She's also certified in Lean Six Sigma in Kata, and she has experience from a variety of companies. You can see some of them, the logos on the screen. So that's why we have Barbara here today, so we can talk about the digitalization, the trends in manufacturing, and what she came across in her 12 years experience in manufacturing, and what are the best practices. And perhaps there will be some little nuggets that you can take away from today, implement it in your organization, and just have like 1 or 2 improvements or more than that, that you can actually implement right away. Cool. So let's get on with it, right? So what are the trends in manufacturing? There's a lot of things that are shaping manufacturing these days, right? So the trends for 2025, there are like several key developments that are shaping the manufacturing industry. And that can be supply chain, resilience and optimization, sustainability. Sustainability is a really big topic. I suppose that's something that you probably deal with yourself. Workforce development and skills gap, just improving just improvements on all sorts of levels and areas of manufacturing. But there are 2 topics that are really important for today's webinar, right? Because this is we are not here today to talk about the sustainability, maybe another time, or workforce development, but we are here to talk a bit more about the digitalization, digital transformation. And Bara, she has quite a bit of experience in the area of digitalization and digital transformation. So Bara, how would you comment? What is your take on the trends in digital transformation and smart manufacturing in the manufacturing industry these days?
Well, I have seen last week a great quote by the owner of Rohlik, and he said that not using AI nowadays is not like not using internet 20 years ago. Basically, the digitalization and the transformation with the industry 4.0 and the AI is necessary nowadays. If you want to succeed, if you want to optimize your processes, and if you want to be able to still make money, you cannot be optimizing only the processes on your shop floor, because mostly you have already tackled these and those are the improvements you always start with. But you really need to focus on the things like automation and predicting and implementing all the different ERP systems, MES systems, and looking into the Power BIs and really smart manufacturing, the smart industry. We have lots of good companies in that who are like the highlights, which is, for example, in Czech Republic, the food company, which is Rohlik, or we have Continental, which is the automotive. They are really good in using the Industry 4.0 tools and working with the data. And really, anything you can do now automatically, robots, cobots, self-driven databases, and live reporting and AI, that's necessary if you want to be able to go forward. So implementing the Internet of Things and using, all the different applications for trainings and monitoring, and making sure that you have the systematic prevention for errors and you are not sending errors to the next step. That's a really necessity nowadays if you want to be successful and if you want to be competitive and be able to go forward with the development of your production.
Yeah, I think it's yesterday. I read quite like interesting report. I can't remember the source now, but it actually said it was on LinkedIn somewhere, and it actually said that in manufacturing, 86% of like the managers, C-level, that they agree that digitalization is like a must-have or like something that they are aware that needs to be done, that they do believe that it will bring a significant change to their organization. But interesting enough, because I would say digitalization is like a big topic, not just 2025. I would say it's like a thing over the last 2-3 years. It became like a buzzword. I never saw, or maybe that's just me, I never saw people called digital transformation officers before that. Maybe they were there hiding somewhere, or just it was not in my field. But it was interesting to hear that actually out of those 86% who agree it's like a must for them, that's the thing that will take them to the next level, that's the thing that will increase the profitability, etc. Just you know, or just make the company survive, right? Only 45% of those companies actually did something towards digital transformation, which is a bit shocking, right? Because you are aware you have an issue.
Not for me, because from my experience in manufacturing, in consulting, you know, there was a big buzzword before, and the buzzword was Scrum and Agile. Everyone was agile, everyone was having agile coaches, but it was just like the fancy thing to have and call, but it really wasn't working. It was like we want to be in, so we will call the people like this and we will say we implement it. Now, as you are saying, the smart manufacturing is another buzzword. You know, everyone wants to be smart and everyone wants to have Industry 4.0, but I think we should have had it like 10 years ago. And now from the Industry 4.0, we should really go into the AI and really use AI, because we are way backwards in what we could be doing and how we could be working with the data, and we are reactive, and that's the biggest waste right now. We are waiting for the data to show us something is wrong, but with all the possibilities we have, we could be already proactive, and we could be really predicting, and we could be solving the issues even before they occur. And this is the biggest waste you see nowadays at the shop floor, that you are waiting for the downtimes, and you are waiting for something to break, and you are waiting for someone to make a mistake, and then you start fixing the mistake. But with all the data you have from all the different sources you already have implemented, you could be already predicting based on your historical data what can happen, how often you need to do it, how often you need to do some maintenance, how to train people, where they commit the most mistakes. And we are basically wasting the data for not utilizing them really good, and we are wasting the skills of the people because we don't set up the processes based on our experience and the data, and we are wasting the availability of the machines and the time we have for the production, because we are still dealing with the same firefighting when we could be already few steps ahead, and we could be already detecting it, and we could be preventing it, because we have the data. The data are there, we just don't know how to work with them.
Yeah.
Because we are comfortable in our Excels and in our meetings, playing that we are surprised that something happened, that something doesn't work, and then we start digging in the Excels, comparing the data, and we are like solving first which data are correct. And this drives me crazy when you have meetings of different departments and everyone has its own Excel and everyone has a different number. And that's the first issue you have: who has the right number and which data we should be working with, when everyone could be working with the same data at the same time, and it could be relevant because it would be driven by the AI, not by some human running macro or downloading the data and doing the pivot table for us.
Yeah, I think it's also quite surprising, right? It's one of the stuff that I actually mentioned in the invitation for the webinar. I think, or what I heard, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, type it in the Q&A or in the chat if you totally disagree. But I think it's quite shocking how much we actually still rely on Excel, right? Like, from the point of view that if you have an actual software, if you have like not Excel or something else, I mean, Excel, you just cannot put it in the bin. Like, there are certain things that Excel still works well for. But the fact that Excel is still operated heavily by people, and all the formulas are still operated by people. Okay, if you connect it to some AI, maybe. But there is the issue with the Excel, which I would say is called like a traditional tool, is the fact that actually there is big space for human error and it doesn't flag it, right? Because like 94%, the report said that 94% of the Excels that people deal with and work with every single day in the project and work management, actually 94% has errors. So why do people still stick and choose Excel nowadays when there's so much other to choose? And why is it happening in manufacturing? Because I think that compared to some other industries kind of went through the digitalization probably already, but we tend to see that there's in easy software, we tend to see more and more companies still like not transforming, like coming with Excel and then looking for a tool, for a software from manufacturing, while when they come from other industries, they usually already have a tool in place that simply they have outgrown and they need it replaced, like a certain software that there's a lot of softwares for task and project management. So
I
they
think
can,
that the answer is like, it's not about Excel, but it's about change management. People are comfortable and they always prefer to use the things they know, where they feel safe and they know how to navigate it. So they stay in Excel because they learn Excel at school. They were using Excel during their studies. Then they come to the company is using Excel. So why would you give yourself the pain of developing something new when you can stay in your comfort zone, just using the tool you are used to? Because if you are coming, like say, okay, nowadays we are stopping Excel, we will start running some data cubes and we will start like downloading it, automatically from the ERP systems. It will run to Power BI, and then in the Power BI, we will set up with you the reports and the analysis and the graphs and the visuals you need into the detail necessary for each of the department or the people. They will be just like, this sounds too complicated and it will take too much time. So, maybe, we have been doing it, and this you hear, it doesn't matter which company you will come to as a lean person, you always hear, we have been doing it like this, and it serves and it works. So why we should change it? It would be too much hassle. So it's more comfortable and easier for us to stay in this. So I think it's not about Excel. It's just about the mindset and the thinking that let's stay here, but you cannot stay here. If you want to be competitive, if you want to earn money, if you want to be developing, and you need to develop to still make a business, or you will just be extinct, you need to go forward. And the way forward is not with Excel. You are just, and for me, the biggest thing with Excel is you are wasting your resources. You are using highly skilled people like project managers, engineering, CI, whoever. You are using highly skilled people to work manually with Excel, looking for data, downloading data, filtering the data, making reports, making graphs, and then most probably 95% of the time they will end up then putting the Excel to the presentation and going somewhere with the presentation to present the data, when if you would have the AI and you would have some good software, it could do everything for you. You will just connect it to the right data source and you can enter the data anytime from anywhere by any smart device, and you can just use them for what you need, and it will be the same data source, live data for the whole company, and you can just filter into the detail you need for your job.
Yeah, actually, quite interestingly, I think it's always nice to see that whatever we are saying is being supported. That there's data for it, right? So actually, from the poll that we ran earlier, over half of the participants or the attendees of the webinar, they actually say that a lot of work is done manually. Which again, we know that about 50%, like in organizations where Excel is the tool for work and project management, 50% of the time of the employees, including the management, is actually spent on working with the Excel. And then the second highest percentage was actually the no real-time data and accuracy. No surprise there. And then data transparency. So these are the three things that you basically just mentioned. I would
And
like to
you just also need to think about the compliance of the data, and then like the safety of the data, and all the regulatory things, because if I download them to Excel, anyone can edit them, anyone can access them. How I will prove that the data are safe, they are correct, and I'm really running the organization on the right data.
Yeah, we actually have that on the next slide, right? We have like a list those limitations to Excel and what you need to look for in a replacement, really. But let's get back a bit on the topic, like why digitalization and not something else? Because you already mentioned it, that there are certain fields or areas that already has been tackled, and in most of the manufacturing companies, that's something that they already focused on, whether that's maximizing the shop floor. But then why is it that now is the time, now digitalization, migrating from Excel to another tool is the hot topic?
So first of all, with this picture, I need to give a shout out to my colleague from the consulting company we joined the call, so sending love, because this picture is from my consultancy days and I learned it from the owners of the company I was working for. So I call this the factory. And basically why you need to save, because everyone is asking for more, right? Your supplier is raising the prices and they are always increasing the price. Your employees, now is the end of the first quarter, they are accepting that you will raise their salaries for this year. The owner wants bigger profit. He will not be happy with the same money you paid him last year. He will always ask for more. And the only way how you can save it is inside. And you can go over the processes because you already did Kaizens, you already did Lean, you already do some flow, you did the value stream mapping, you look for the waste, you try to improve, your Kanbans, you set up like 5S, daily management, problem solving, all the tools are in place. So you already tackled what you could physically on the shop floor, but actually what people are forgetting is that the biggest waste is in the flow of the data and information. Because usually, yes, like when we talk about manufacturing, we see the production. But the production is like the middle of the process, right? You have the buyers, you have the planners, you have the customer care. They are all working with data. And if they are all working in Excel, just pour them, because how many hours per day they are like downloading data, working in Excel, then going to meetings, comparing Excels, copying from one to another, then putting it to emails, sending it to someone else. And imagine how long it takes before the information really finally reaches the shop floor and the shop floor knows what to produce in what quantity and when you need it. And then you have the production itself. And then after you have again the warehouse, the logistics, the outbound, the shipments, the tracking of the trucks, the warehouse external or customer. And again, you are doing it in Excel. So you are manually searching where is your goods, what is the status, and you are manually updating everyone when it could be just real life data in the system and anyone could access it and track the order he would be interested in. And it's the same for then making the salaries or tracking the productivity, tracking the first pass yield, any data you need. As soon as someone has to sit down and work with the Excel, you're wasting. You're wasting the same way how you would be wasting when material is waiting either on the shop floor or operator is waiting because he cannot produce because he has a shortage or the machine is down. So you need to look into those processes. And most surprisingly, as soon as you start like value stream mapping and like following the process, like for example, of procurement or planning, you will be surprised how many steps are there. There are much more complex processes than the simple flow of the production in the shop floor, and how many different departments or people are involved, and how many times someone is running a report, attaching it to email and sending an email, and how long are the wait times between the responses. And if you count the salary of that person and the whole team, and you count the hours they are spending on running the manual reports in Excel and sending emails and sitting in meetings, you have huge amounts of time and money you are really wasting. And to be honest, you are not hiring people with degrees like quality people, project planners, project managers, engineering, you are not hiring guys with university degrees to run Excel. They are the most expensive admin people you have in your company, and you're just wasting their skills. You could use them much more better in the processes, and you could have much more effective processes, and they could be really doing what you hire them for if you gave them the right tools to provide them with the right data for their work.
Would you say that the digitalization or like the improvement of the processes, right? Because for me personally, I see like when we talk about manufacturing, when we talk about manufacturing organizations, I see it like there's always like two parts into it, right? There is the direct labor, those people who work on the shop floor manufacturing something. And then there's the indirect labor, those people who kind of make everything happen, so actually something can come out of the production line. Who would you say is the most impacted by, or where's the biggest lack actually currently, and who will be most impacted by the digitalization?
Well, it would be the ideals, because a lot of their work would be automated and they would have better resources and they wouldn't have to waste time searching for data to have data to do their jobs. But of course, as well as the DLs, because the information would be flowing much more faster to them. They probably would have better software also in the production. There would be much more automated tasks. They could be scanning things, they wouldn't have to manually fill in information about orders or counting the errors or something. Because as soon as you put the AI there and the softwares there, you can apply it to anything. You can just connect it to the MES system. You can start counting the OE. You can start counting the first pass deal. You can connect it with the SAP. And then you have really good information about the inputs to the process itself, and the outputs. And if you are able to compare the demand with the real output, then it's really easy for you to find where is your bottleneck, where are the challenges, where you should focus on. And you are really focusing the skills and the time and the efforts of your people to the right place, rather than firefighting end to end.
I have here like a little meme right for Excel, because Excel everywhere. But actually, from my experience, what we come across that is also an issue is not just the Excel, but the fact that if people decide like not to run Excel, for instance, for salaries, time tracking, etc., what we usually see is the fact that there is quite a lot of actually tools in the company. So HR will be using something for payroll, then someone is using, usually everyone is using Excel to some extent. And then like every department or every team is like using a different tool. So creating like silos that are actually like also slowing down the processes, right? Because it's like separating the teams, and then those tools don't connect together. Is that something you came across as well in your career, where you would see that there is like 20 tools that do not communicate together? So it's like not only you are not efficient in Excel, but then you are like having way too many tools, and there is no one place that would actually connect.
Many times you need to even duplicate in the different systems, because they are like not communicating with each other. So you can't even make some connectors or interfaces. So you need to manually again enter the data or download it from one system, then enter it manually to the next system. But it's also about it when one of the departments is implementing something, they are not thinking about the big pictures. They don't realize that their department is supplier in the process for someone else, and someone else needs the data from them. And also they are customer, because the HR department needs the data, for example, again, from the production, from the manufacturing, to be able, as you said, do the salaries or count how many people they need to hire and stuff like this. So instead of thinking we are small part in the process, let's think it really end to end, which system could work for all of us. Each department is purchasing the solution just for their part. And then they are surprised about what you are saying, that is actually not communicating to each other, and you still have to have the manual work with the Excels. But you have systems like SAP where you have lots of modules, and you can have the interfaces to the timekeeping or to the MES systems or to any other. It's just about really being smart and thinking about a big picture, because sometimes it's better. And I think from as a CI, I will always say it's better to like invest more and really do it right and buy something which will be working end to end and everyone can work in it, than to like buy one solution for one department, another solution for another department, and then be like, okay, and what we will do now? Because still at the end of the day, someone has to download it and send it to the next step.
Yeah. You use quite a lot of abbreviations by the way. So just for our attendees, CIR,
MES
continuous improvement manager. I think that's what I wanted to point out. So they kind of know like what you do, which in my opinion is very, very similar to also like digitalization officer, or there's like very, very similar roles, if I'm not mistaken. Would you say that in the digitalization, like there's the like hidden threat actually that is there, because people think, okay, in digitalization I will move from Excel to a software, and there's a lot of them, right? You can digitalize a lot of things, but then like you said, each department can end up with a different tool, and it's not just HR, right? But what we have, for instance, seen is companies that they manufacture devices or they manufacture robots, and those robots, right, have to be designed, or there's like it comes with a program, there's developers are involved. And what we often see is the like developers, they have their own world kind of. They're like, oh yeah, there are developers, they work in GitLab, and leave them there. No one knows about what happens there. They don't know what happens in the company. We have different tool, and then HR will have different tool, and that's fine. So no one is thinking about, they are digitalized because they are in GitLab. Another piece of the company is digitalized because they are using something. They are, I don't know, finance is using Xero or something. So each department or sub-department or part of the department is actually digitalized. So they are like, okay, we have done the digital transformation from Excel or from emails, because emails seem to be quite a common tool for work management. But then they end up with number of very expensive tools, and they are still not communicating together, but they are digitalized.
No, I think that that's back to the continuous improvement and lean. You should always like go into mapping the current state of the processes end to end, really the big picture, and looking for like what can be really helpful for all of us, where we are having like the common ground, which applies to everyone, and then look at the specific needs of the departments and look like, can it be covered by the general tool we will be using as a standard for everyone, or do you need something extra as an add-on where you will have these specific things? So it's like when you talk about SAP, you have many different SAP modules, and you can have the base, which will be like having the basic tooling for everyone. And then you can talk about, okay, do we really need this specific module? Or are we able to just work with what is there? Or do we need add-on by different software? Or do we need the manufacturing execution system? Or what we are looking for, which, and really not decide just by one process and one department, because then you will end up like you are mentioning. Yeah, so this is what we have put together, like really put it to the efficiency and the productivity, and really decide on the data. Because if I'm not deciding on the data, how do I know that I'm improving? I'm always saying, if you don't have data, you don't have point zero. If I don't have point zero, how I can decide if what I'm doing, and how I will track and how I will measure if I'm improving? Because if I'm not measuring, I'm not improving. And then, of course, it goes hands in hand with the quality, which is always number one in manufacturing, as well as the safety. And, you know, the data-driven can help you a lot with the safety as well, because you can see where are the biggest risks. And then it helps you even with the transformation, and it helps you also with the trainings and with the utilization of the people and their skills, and you can just react much faster and better, and you can move to the predictive stage, which I think is like, when you say you are digitalized, you should really be running predictive company. You should not be reacting, you should not be surprised, you should not be problem solving, you should not be firefighting, but you are already steps ahead, and you are predicting, and you are putting there the corrective measures to prevent something from happening.
Yeah, I think here we kind of have like a little, I would say it could be used as a checklist, right? When you're choosing a software for project and task management to kind of like make sure that it ticks these boxes. And I think in industries such as manufacturing or any industry which has to be compliant, where certification is quite a big thing. I think those like the last two bullet points is a big thing, right? The traceability, data security, legislation and compliance, especially these days, because once you have your own IP, you have to treasure it as a company, you know. So
And it's
why
also
would you
because
say
of
that?
their customers.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Sorry.
Data security, yeah. GDPR compliance, yeah. Just making sure that you manage their data securely as well. That's also really important. Thank you for pointing that out. So yeah, it's not just about that you are actually producing something, but it's making sure that your customers' data is secure as well. Why would you say that? Would you say that Excel fulfilled this?
No,
And
absolutely
why?
not, because you cannot prove how it is secured. You cannot prove when the data were like changed, by whom it was edited, based on what. It's manual, right? And as soon as you download any data, how you will prove that is the latest one and the right one? Because anyone can edit them, right? I can alter the data in Excel very easily and very fast. So as soon as you go digital and you are running in any software, you basically have the traceability. You have the timestamps, you have the rights for the users, you can see who edited, by when, and you can just limit even the access to the data, and you can limit the access to the changes. And also the very important thing is that each industry has its own audits and ISOs or certifications that they need to pass, and the data and the traceability, and if the data are the correct ones and how it is being handled, is important part always of the audit. It's not only the production itself and the standards of the operations, the SOPs or work instructions and all the documentation, but it's always also how you work with the data, how you store the data, and everything around it. So as soon as you have any software, you have the license. The license has its own ISOs, and you can prove how it is being handled, where is the data stored, how it is updated, who has the access. And this is the big part, I think, nowadays of the compliance as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we kind of touched upon the beginning of the list and the end of the list. And I see I have a typo there. I have enhanced
Yeah.
with T in it. Sorry about that. Enhanced efficiency and productivity, which kind of comes, I think, hand in hand. One of the things that I wanted to point out, which is the customization and flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning that there are some tools that like can kind of like cover the whole company. I would also want to point out that sometimes, like for instance, with the developers, right? I'm not sure where developers would fit in SAP, or maybe I just don't know. I think another thing that is really important is, like you said, like map the processes, right? So you have the big picture about the whole company, because one tool, there's a lot of like task management, like simple tools that look very pretty as well, but then they might not be suitable for different teams or different departments or different processes, right? So I think the important here is when you are mapping and then kind of like thinking about which software fits that not always it's about like fit everything in one place, but have the flexibility of the software which allows you to integrate. Because, for instance, I don't think, I think I'm still going back to the developers, but I don't think developers will really be leaving GitLab. So it's always about thinking, okay, there are certain things that you cannot get rid of, like GitLab. So it's about taking these things into consideration. Okay, these things we really can put together, like break down the walls between the departments, break the silos, don't have the siloed tools, put it together. But then there are certain activities that simply have to stay in the tool where they are.
Sure, but you still need to think about, is there something which will like cover 80% of what I need? And then is it possible to make it somehow integrated or connected to the other ones which are unique and I need to still keep them? you know.
Yeah.
So
you
I would
basically,
say it's about this. You will cover like the most common processes across all the departments, and then you look into the integrators or the connectors. How can I connect this to the special cases, the special softwares which needs to stay here? And
yeah,
it's also about one of the biggest challenges always in manufacturing is the IT resources, because the IT is always, busy and they don't have time, and they are always the priorities, of course, to support the production. So the production is running because the production is making the money. So when you are looking for softwares, you always need to think about the customer support, and if they have their own IT department, which is then able to help you with the optimization, customization, and like the implementation into your current systems. Because if you will wait for the internal IT resources, it can take really long. And it can also happen that they don't have the experience with the software you want to use. And then it's basically impossible for them. They can help you then with connecting the current systems, but maybe not with the implementing. So always when you are looking into the implementation of a software and the customization, it's always important if the external company has the resources to help you as well, and don't rely always on the in-house, because it's always good when the software company comes like with the consultancy and they are mapping the current processes with you. That's what we did in Brandis with the Conti. We had external consultancy company coming, they were mapping the processes, they were listening to our needs, and we were showing them how we do it in the current state, and then they were trying to basically tailor the solution we're looking for from them to our needs. And that was really big help that the source was there, and that they had the time and the skills to support the implementation, because it was really fast and smooth. If we would do it just in-house, it would take much more longer, and I'm sure that there would be many like surprises and challenges and hurdles to overcome.
Oh, that's a good example from practice. Okay, guys. If anyone has any questions, anything you want to chip in the conversation, maybe some experience that you may personally have, whether it's from digitalization or the other hurdles that you have to actually jump every single day, please type it in or just put it in the Q&A or in the chat, and you can join in the conversation this way. So if we were to kind of like sum up, what is the important things when when the company comes, okay, we need to digitalize, and whether that's one, let's say one team comes and they're like, okay, we need to digitalize, we need something better than email, Excel, or Teams sometimes. What would you say should be the next steps? Like who should be involved, what should be done, where to take it, and how long is usually the process?
Well, the first thing is like you try from the lean again. You are saying, what is the current state? What is the goal? And what is the gap, right? So you need to like describe what is, I don't like the word problem because it's negative. So we
Challenge.
call it challenge or opportunity. So what is the opportunity there? If we go digital, what will bring us? How much we will save, how much we will be more efficient, like what is the return of the investment? And usually for any project you want to do, you need the return of the investment within the 2 years. No one will allow you longer time for any implementation of anything if they don't see the money coming back, in 2 years. It has to cover itself in 2 years latest. So you should do the current state, the business case. You should have the measurements. So what KPI we will measure, how we will know that we are improving and how much we are saving. And that comes from the, as I said before, mapping the current state. So on which process you want to go digital? Where is your challenge? Where is your waste? Describe that, measure it, and then basically say, what is the future state? What we want to accomplish? I am always saying, like, imagine that I have a dream. If I go through this, what I see at the end, where I want to be. And this is what should be like the result of the digitalization. And it's nice to say we want to go digital, but if you don't know what is your future state, what is the outcome you are expecting, we are not wizards. We cannot help you. I need to know what you are looking for, what is the outcome, and then we can find a way from the current state to the future state. And of course, you will need there like the IT, you will need there some process manager or project manager, you will need a CI, you will need definitely the people from the process, the users. Like, please never change or improve processes without the people who are in the process. Like, no. And you will have like cross-functional team. And then it will be like in different stage of the project, you will need different people, right? Based on where you will go. And in the Lean Six Sigma, you go to define, measure, analyze, and that's the 70% of the project. If you don't do well the definition of the current state, you don't have the right measures, and you don't do the good analysis of the current state, you will fail. You will just waste everyone's time. So really focus on describing well your needs, the current state, and your challenges you are facing because of the current state, and really brainstorm what should be the accomplishment. And then you go into the improvement phase. And then please don't go the big bang, but just do pilot. Do small sample size pilot and go the plan, do, check, act. Check if it's working or not, and you can do this like few times before you will find the best solution. When you verify that it's really working, and again by measuring the impact, then you can go to the control and do the big rollout on the whole processes, and you can standardize it. And then the most crucial thing is, if I do such a change, always document everything, make the standard of it, release the standard, and also train the people, inform the people, and inform them well. The best you can do is do it during the pilot, so they already know something is changing, and you have them ready, trained with the skills you need, so they can start using it efficiently when you do the rollout. Don't wait for the rollouts to have 30 surprise people who are used to Excel for 20 years, and suddenly you will tell them Excel is dead, from now on you are using this. Like half of them will just quit, and the second half will call in sick, because they will be like, what is going on here, you know? And I'm always saying that the biggest impact on the change is that the people are involved. Always involve the people who will be impacted by the change, and always tell them what we are doing and also why. And the biggest why for them is you show them what is the benefit for them, how it will make their life easier for them, what stupid things they are doing right now, wasting their time and skills, they will get rid of. What are the benefits? They will have more time, you know, it will be easier, faster, whatever. But you need the buy-in from the people who are the users. You don't need the buy-in from the top management. Of course you need, so they approve you the money. But if you don't have the buy-in from the team, and the team will not be using it, you will just waste the time, the efforts, and the money, and everyone will be still working in Excel.
Yeah, and you will end up pretty disappointed and not motivated yourself as a project manager.
And once you fail like this, it's really, really tough to almost impossible to do the second round and be successful. You need to be successful the first time around.
I think, as you were saying, like at the beginning, like what is really important, you know, the define, measure, trace. I think it's really great when there are companies like you, like I can see how you think about, you know, that actually can come with this to the software provider. But I would also say, like, for if there are any companies that are like scared, oh, we don't have the resources to do this bit of the process. Sometimes obviously there are external consultancies, but from the side of the software provider, I know this is something that we actually do with our clients as well. Like, we kind of like help them to dig deep to the pain, because it's not sometimes. I think what I find is quite interesting that people, the measure bit is a bit difficult, or they are just, oh, we want to be more efficient. Do you actually know how efficient you are? You know how you want to increase it. So one thing that I want to like point out here is like, don't let that put you off if you do not have the resources, or if you do not have the information at this point. No one will blame you coming from Excel, and coming from Excel or any or email or whatever, or something that's simply not fulfilling your expectations. Even the software provider actually usually has the people to actually help you to go deeper on the what really is the pain, how to measure it, and then kind of like set up a go live plan with you, you know, how the pilot will run, how everything will be measured, what are the check-ins during the pilot, that you know that you actually know that the pilot was successful, or you can catch what needs to be improved as you go. Because I think otherwise sometimes it can sound a bit scary, like because it is a big thing, especially for manufacturing companies. Like if you have thousands and thousands of employees or several branches, then change is always scary, right? So yeah, there are just ways simply you can prepare yourself, whether you do it internally, external consultancy, or even the software provider can actually have people who can help you with that. You were mentioning something that I think is very big, important piece of digitalization, which is change management. And I think that's something that you really nicely pointed out, because sometimes it's someone like has this great idea, but they don't get the buy-in from the people. So I definitely do also encourage people who initiate the change, who go research the softwares, get the demos, get the pilots. Sometimes they can pilot 2, 3 solutions or just one. Always from the beginning, like choose a person who is happy, who has the capacity to actually participate right away. Because if you have one person, also choose someone who is fairly influential, because if you get the buy-in from one person, then it kind of spreads, it can spread like a wildfire, and they can get the buy-in of their peers, right? So it's as important as getting your CFO or your CEO to actually improve it. So we have 10 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, any tips, anything they want to share, just reminding there is chat and there is Q&A, because we will be slowly wrapping up. And please do let us know if you are in, these are like something resonated with you, or if there's a specific topic that you would like to hear more about, whether that's change management, whether that's Lean Six Sigma, anything, just type it in and we'll try to accommodate that topic in one of our future webinars. After this slide, I do have one more giveaway. So just stay with us for a few more minutes. But before we wrap up, what is in your opinion, or if you were to give like one tip that you would like people to take away from today's session, like one giveaway, what would that be?
Use all the tools which are available. Don't be afraid of the unknown, and just, go for it. Go for the challenge. Go and try. And, the biggest learning is always the fail. So, like, if you are not finding the right solution, the right provider, the first time you just call some company, it doesn't matter that you are not able to digitalize. Just really spend a good time on the research and try to talk and try to collaborate with more companies at the same time. Ask for some pilots, ask for some accesses so you can play with it, you can discover what suits you, and then just go for it. Like, be bold and go forward and look into your transactions and all your information and data flows, and focus on that, because you probably did all the savings and improvement on the shop floor. So if you really want to be efficient and productive, go after the information and the data now.
Great, thank you. I would also add one thing to that, because I have noticed, or we have noticed as a software provider, that since COVID, the behavior of a buyer, in this case, it could be you, project manager, CEO of a company, has massively changed. Before, they used to like reach out and ask, well, now there's much more research, especially with AI. But a lot of AI use just the information that is available on the website, which is marketing claims, really. So I would like to encourage people to actually get in touch with the software provider, because they might save you time. They will be like, you can say, okay, this is what we want, this is what we are thinking. Is there something you can do for us? And if you come across a good software provider, they will be also able to say, no, we cannot do this. We are not quite a good fit for you. So don't be afraid to reach out at the beginning before you waste time, like trialing it yourself, or just set up a free trial, but reach out and tell them, this is what we want. And instead of like trying to find your way around and giving yourself a headache, just simply jump on a 10-15 minute call with someone so you can get a clear picture instead of just wasting the time of like drowning in the amount of information. So because there are people like, we are always happy to jump on a call with you, you know, provide your information. And as much as people think that AI will save them time, it's not always the case, especially if you are heavily relying on ChatGPT. It'll just give you whatever it scrapes really from the website, and sometimes it might not be as accurate. Okay, well, time is pretty much almost up. And as I said, I have one little giveaway, which is like a strategic guide / report that should help you with your task and project management, specifically in manufacturing and engineering industries. So if you would like to download this guide, just head to easyredmind.com. You have the website over here. If you scroll a little bit down, you will see exactly this kind of picture there, and you can just download the guide. I think there might be some nuggets, again, some tips that you can implement into your daily task and work management. Well, thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you to our guest speaker, Barbara, for her insights. It was really valuable. And I wish you all good luck with your future projects. All right, guys, take care.
Thank you. Bye.